touring across Canada with OLP as they celebrate their 30th anniversary. You guys did that like a couple of years ago. So does this feel almost like a joint celebration for you?
Well, yeah, a little bit. Yeah, we're all of us, all of these bands that are, there's not many left around, but all of us are, from the mid '90s are all celebrating 30 years now. So it does feel like a little bit of a joint celebration. But I did technically call them out. You can celebrate whenever you want to celebrate, but I knew that their record was released the same year ours was. So technically, their first record was 1994. I've already called them out on it. So we don't have to do it again.
Well, yeah, it's a good excuse, right? We'll just we'll reconvene this in another couple of years and do a 35th anniversary.
That's right.
And when I was talking to Rain, he mentioned that the relationship between Collective Soul and Our Lady Peace goes back a long ways, and he had nothing but great things to say about you guys and what it's like to tour with you guys and play with you guys. And what's it been like for you hanging out with that group of Canadians?
Yeah, I mean, it's been special to see them have the full headlining arena stage again, because the first time we met them was at a festival in Atlanta. The radio station 99X was real supportive of a lot of the, what was considered the alternative scene back then in the 90s. But the first real tour we did with Lady Peace was across Canada, and it was one of the Edge Fest tours. Tea Party, I Mother Earth, Tragically Hip was on a couple of them. But we were basically the only American band. But we got to see Our Lady Peace during that tour in '98, headline that whole tour and have the whole stage and lights and everything. And it was just a magical moment. We all became really good friends and created some great memories. And since then, we've toured with them and played shows with them, but haven't really got to see OLP in the full majesty of having their production and everything headlining. And so this tour, I'm watching them, and I'm watching them headlining again in their element with their production and stuff. And it's been really fun to watch that because, like I said, the other times we've been playing with them since '98, we were all just on different festival stages or OLP wasn't even headlining. For in the States, it kind of flips around a little bit. So it's good to see them cross Canada again, full production. It makes me feel good. Does my heart well, and we're having fun.
Yeah, it makes you kind of stand back like a proud older brother.
I mean, a little bit. Yeah, we're I don't know who's the older brother. But
as I said that, I was like,
yeah.
And I'll ask, obviously, being on the tour with them, and you guys were in Edmonton when Team Canada beat Team USA, and there's an amazing viral moment of the crowd singing "Oh Canada." How were you guys feeling backstage after that?
Oh, we were rooting for Canada that night. We were in Canada. We were playing in front of a stadium. We were good with that.
Okay.
You know what I mean? We wanted the energy to be lit, so we had to root for Canada that night. That was the thing.
Good plan. Good plan. The latest Collective Soul album, a double album, Here to Eternity. First off, was that the plan to do a double, or was it just there was so much material that you couldn't sift through it?
Yeah, it wasn't really necessarily a plan, but it was something we had talked about since the 90s. We've always wanted to do a double album, i.e. Yellow Brick Road, the White Album. All our heroes had done double albums, and Ed's a prolific enough writer, to say the least, to where we knew we'd had the material, but it really wasn't the plan. We just got in there and started kicking butt, and I'd say a weekend we're like, all right, we're going for a double album. We had scheduled a month. And a weekend we knew that we were cooking and going really fast. So we went ahead and turned it into a double album, while we were recording.
And you knocked out the double in a month?
We knocked out the meat and potatoes. I'd say we knocked out 85, 90% of it in a month, yeah.
I was going to say, that's incredible work if you knocked it out in a month.
Yeah, we go pretty fast these days. It's the same style, as far as how we get in the groove and try to find the right vibe for a song. But once we do find the vibe, we move pretty fast just based on experience and how we like to operate.
No, well, yeah, I mean, having been together for as long as you have, it's got to be like, I don't want to say machine because that takes the creativity almost out of it, but it's just everybody's got to kind of feel their groove, right?
Yeah, well, once we find the vibe and get away from once we get away from, we start off not in the machine mechanical side of things, but once we know where that end point is and we've decided what the groove is, what the general feel of the song's going to be, we do that by not being mechanical and by jamming around together. But once we do that, yeah, it does turn into a little bit of a machine because we know exactly what we need to do to get it done.
Nice. And I know during the recording of this, you guys stayed in Palm Springs at Elvis's house. What was that like? Yeah.
I mean, it was literally left just like he left it. It was a bit of a time capsule. And as far as houses go, things that are left alone in houses kind of get a little run down. So, I mean, it was run down a little bit, but we took the main living room, dressed it up. And we made just a really cool spot to hang. And, I mean, his aura, DNA, whatever you want to say, it was all over the place. It was exactly like he left it. So I'd have to say it affected us somehow, energy-wise or just vibe-wise. I think it's baked into the record.
Yeah, I was going to say, I was going to ask, did the ghost of Elvis kind of find his way into the recording somehow?
I hope so. I would like to believe so. I know that it doesn't rain there a lot in Palm Springs, and it rained one evening, and it was the evening that Lisa Marie died. And there was a leak in the roof in the engineer's room, which was Lisa Marie's bedroom. A leak came down, engineer's room now. That's where the computer is and all the important stuff. And the leak came through the roof and dripped onto the table, didn't touch any piece of gear. But there was definitely a leak the night that she died, and it rained that night in Palm Springs. So we kind of thought that was a little message as well.
Yeah, I would definitely say so. Yeah, 100%. And so that was the engineer's room. I know you guys were staying there. Who got to sleep in Elvis's room?
Yeah, Ed was in Elvis's bedroom.
Ed took it.
He likes to tell that story on stage about how he was the only man to sleep in Elvis's bedroom, but it was actually on a blow-up mattress from Walmart. So that's his funny story he gets to tell.
Excellent. Yeah, not quite the same as in his bed. That's fantastic. And I heard when I was looking into this, you guys have a documentary coming. Where's that project as far as the Collective Soul doc?
Man, I can't wait for people to see it. We're super excited, and you know what? It's done really well, and it's kind of centered around our experience in Palm Springs, because it bounces back and forth a little bit between current times and then, you go back, oh, but think about in 1985, here we go, we're in Stockbridge, Georgia. But it's done, and it looks like we're talking about release in July.
Oh, nice. Nice. All right, is that going to be something, and maybe you can't say, but is that going to be something hitting one of the streaming services, or what's the release plan, do you know? Or can you say yet?
Yes, it will be, and it is going to be on a streaming service that and I can't say right now. You're right.
Okay, but at least we know to look for it.
You will see it, man. You will see it. There'll be some good promotions around with it, and you'll have the opportunity.
I'm looking forward to it. I've been a fan of the band since, the first album, I think, when everybody kind of jumped on. And one thing, and maybe you as the bassist can agree, I always think when people bring up guitar riffs of the 90s, I don't feel like, and maybe I'm wrong on this, I don't feel like the guitarists that have come through Collective Soul get their due, because some of those riffs are incredible.
Yeah, we have always. I never thought about that. I don't really think about things that way as far as how you get slided. I'm always thinking about what's next and how fortunate we are to be able to do what we do. But that's interesting. I would say you might have something there, but sometimes with the guitar magazines, I do see I remember the Shine solo was it was praised back in its era as one of the best solos of that time. But yeah, you're right. But I don't know, man. Maybe that's because Jesse's been with us now for over 10 years, and Johnny's been with us going on 12, 13 years. So it's something we're always proud of. We're proud of the band the way it is now, and golly, as the lineup is now, we're on our 5th record together, I think, and golly, and we've logged in 12 records total. So it's been a great ride, and I'm not worried about the accolades. As long as the fans know who we are and they show up, that's what matters.
Yeah, exactly. At the end of the day, you are 100% correct. As long as people are showing up and digging it, and it's hard not to. And I know now, like, the studio that you guys started in was your dad's studio, right? And now you own that?
I do. I took ownership over. He passed away in 2018, and I had walked in there, and I'd done my solo stuff there, and I'd probably produced maybe 3 bands in the 20-something years while I was raising a family, and we were raising a rock and roll band. But my kids are older, and my father had passed away, and I went in that studio, and I said, there was every ounce of my being told me that I'm not going to let this studio go. And not only am I not going to let it go, I've poured a lot of time and money into it, and now I'm running a production company out of the studio. And if you're a friend of mine, you can come down and record. But mostly I tell people it's mostly a production house. It's mostly stuff that I'm doing on my production company.
Yeah, and I was going to say, like, it'd be hard to let that go because you started doing stuff in there when you were, like, what, 13, 14?
Yeah, I definitely grew up around it. The first recording session I was on, I was about 13 years old. Yep, for a singer-songwriter, and I was a drummer.
Now, when did you transition from drums to bass?
I started off on piano, and I learned guitar around 13 years old. But I didn't transition to bass until I told the guys that I would play bass. And we went out and bought a bass, and the timing was good because we were signed no less than 9 months later. We were signed to Atlantic.
Wow. So obviously, with music in your blood, was it difficult to pick up bass, or did you come to it pretty naturally?
I wouldn't say it was difficult. I mean, learning any instrument or anything musical is a lifelong journey. But these are my best friends. I'd watched Ed work on his songwriting craft his whole life. I knew everything about his music. I knew the feel. And then you had Shane Ross and Dean Rowland in the band. Those were my best friends. And me, Shane, and Ross were in bands going back to 9th, 10th grade in high school. So understanding the songs and the style of the songs, and then playing with your best friends. The fact that it was a different instrument didn't really matter a whole lot. There's always stuff to learn, and of course, hopefully I've gotten better. But no, I didn't feel like I couldn't handle it at all.
Yeah, because that's a gutsy thing of like, okay, guys, I'll be in the band. Yeah, I'll play bass, and you're just going to grab one.
That is exactly what happened.
That's a gutsy move. I'll tell you that right now. I got booted from singing in my high school band. I got booted from singing to bass, and then I got booted from bass. So it didn't go very well for me.